Can you ever imagine that telling ghost stories on YouTube or podcasts will get you haunted? Don't believe me? Well, I have some videos here for you guys to watch. But before we get into those videos, I just want to say welcome back to another Late Night Strange. And tonight, we will be taking a look at some of these videos of these YouTubers and podcasters who started telling ghost stories, and soon after, they too have experienced paranormal activities around their home or studios. Without further ado, let's get started.
He was really doing quite the opposite. He was really interested in using sex magic to open up
Right.
portal. Whoa. Oh, shit. What is... Alistair, are you here with us?
It's always Josh's mic. You're the target. They don't fuck with me because they know I won't believe it.
Hello? This is what happens. Whenever we talk about this shit, this is what happens in here.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is more paranormal than what's happening in this at this point. This is more real to me. Because what the actual fuck was that? Now my mic's completely fine. This cable is virtually new. It was working completely fine. Riddle me that. How'd this happen?
So this is Wednesday. It's my longest day here. I'm here from like 9:30 in the morning. And in the middle of the day, I was next door. So like we're expanding the studio. There's a whole like second spot. So I'm next door. I'm working on one computer and Tanner is working on another computer. And all of a sudden in the kitchen on the other side, I hear the water faucet running. And so I was like, Tanner, do you hear water running? And he's like, I do. He's like, who's in the kitchen? I was like, I don't know. So he gets up and he goes around to look and there's nobody in the kitchen. The faucet's just running. So he turns it off and I was like, there's nobody here. Yeah. Who turned the water on next door? Bobby, have you ever heard that faucet just go on for no reason? Like, is it a plumbing thing maybe?
No, never. I never even turned it on before.
Me either. I never go in that kitchen. Do we catch something? Have we just been sitting on ghosts this whole time? I'm so excited.
A lot of people wanted to hear scarier stories, and they were like, let's hear the real scary shit. Which I thought that shit was scary. And since recording that episode, I knocked on wood. Like I actually knocked on wood and was like, my house isn't haunted. And like everyone was joking, like, haha, yet. We were recording an episode last night and my mic stayed on, my ring light stayed on, but like the room light in the ceiling went off completely. And so it was like we didn't lose power, because if we lost power, everything else would have shut off. But it didn't. It was just the room light. And so I'm like, I made my house haunted.
Video or it didn't happen?
I'm going to find the video. It's in the recording because that didn't stop.
Okay.
So you will see the flash of light in that episode or the bonus features.
The flash.
Or maybe in this little bonus story, I'll insert it here. Yes. Yeah.
That was weird.
That's creepy. Maybe our house is haunted.
Anyway.
Haven't heard too much from Annabelle this episode. Got anything? I don't know if you saw her moving at all. Hopefully not. But I swear there's definitely something here. Because again, if you remember the previous Lights Out studio, we had many weird things happening in there. And some of the objects that I had over there, I've brought over here. And it's funny. No one else in the building wants to come in this room but me. So let me know if you saw anything weird. I've seen orbs in past episodes. I'm curious if during this episode anything happened.
So I have to tell you something about our house.
Shut up! No!
I'm being serious.
This is where we live!
I know. But you, like I have said to you before, okay, so like our house, split level, right? So our room is down and the kids' bedrooms are up.
Are you just being a dick?
No, I'm not being a dick. I have said to you before, like, oh my God, what's that sound? And you're always like, pff. And I swear to God that I'll hear
Shut
upstairs.
up.
I'm not kidding. Not all the time. Not often, but I'm always like, okay, what is that? Is that like the furnace turning on? Nope, the furnace is down here. Like, it's just like, that's it. And then it goes away. And I'm always like, okay, where are the dogs? The dogs are always in our room. I like, when the kid, I generally hear it more when the kids are at the house, right? Because they're like back and forth between our house and their mom and stepdad's house. but I hear it and I always think that it's one of them getting out of bed. So then I like wait. And then I don't hear anything. I don't hear them going to the bathroom. I'm like, is it them rolling around in their bed? Like,
Well,
what
the guy
is
who
it?
lived in our house before died in the house.
He did not.
That's what I thought happened.
No.
He had a heart attack in the house.
He had a heart attack but did not die in the house.
How do you know that?
Because that's what our realtor told us. And our realtor was our friend. So I have a hard time believing that Brooke would lie to us.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, there is a website, diedinhouse.com. We can look.
Right.
We'll look later and we'll tell our listeners.
I
next
thank
week.
God haven't had any weird, creepy experiences in our house. I freaked myself about the basement. The basement weirds me out, but I think it's my imagination. I just don't like how shadowy it is. But when I was researching
Oh, yeah,
the
what
LeChance
happened?
story, I was down in Los Angeles. I was staying at a hotel in Koreatown when I was down there for a couple days. When I initially researched that story,
Yeah.
and full disclosure, I did take a weed gummy. I took an indica gummy. So I was a little bit high.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to go to but this is the only time this has happened to me when I'm high. And yes, maybe just imagination. But I'm laying in the bed. This freaked me. Oh my God. I'm laying in the bed. I think I hear the door to my hotel room open.
No way.
Yes. I hear the shut. I hear footsteps walking down into the room. No one else, you're not with me. No one else is supposed to be there. And then this is like midnight, 1 a.m. kind of time. And then I feel something at like the foot of my bed. I open my eyes. I'm so scared. And I swear to God, maybe it was the weed, but I could see a shadowy fucking humanoid figure.
Are you fucking
No,
kidding
I'm
me?
not fucking kidding you. And it scared the shit out of me.
Well, yeah. Did you bring it home with you?
I don't think
Have
so.
you seen it in the
I've never
house?
seen it again. It was just that one time.
Okay. No.
And I'm hoping, and I hope what happened was that it was the next room over. Somebody came into that room, walked into their room, and then my mind was playing tricks on me.
And like you
But
just like
that's-
heard the sounds.
Yeah. That's what I tell myself happened. Too aggressive?
There's a ghost in our house. It's coming
I'm not
for
going
you.
to think about that. It's only going to be when you can and please
Sometimes it's there when I'm by myself.
good. I hope it's only there when you're by yourself. Maybe it's not attached to you. Maybe you're the one I should be worried about.
It doesn't scare me though. It doesn't feel negative.
Well, I guess that's the thing too. When you choose to believe in these kind of things, it's not like it would have to all be bad.
No. I mean, and again, like our house, just specifically, since that's what we're talking about.
The LeChance
Has-
family sound like they had bad ghosts.
Right. And our house has really good energy. Like even when we walked into it,
Yep,
when we were house hunting,
Yeah.
we were like,
That's one of the
this
things
house
I liked
has
about it.
great energy, right? That was like one thing that we noticed right away.
And I'm not a weird, like, neither one of us are weird, like, crystally energy. You're more that
No,
way than me.
yeah, I would say
but
I
felt
am,
it.
but-
I felt it in the house for sure. Whatever that thing is, I just like, it just feels good in here. and unless you
I'm
have something
fucking
else,
scared.
I got way more goosebumps than I expected to get today.
I am really cold. I feel like we brought something in here.
You know what? And I prepped. I went into this room specifically to work on these stories last night, and I do not understand, out of our little officey area where we have several rooms now, why is this room by far the
It's
coldest?
fucking freezing. Like I know I have the blanket because it gets me like in the right frame of mind, and I like to hide behind it when you're talking. But also,
Genuinely the coldest
it
room in
is
the entire
fucking
office area
freezing
by
in
far.
here. Yeah,
So what's that about?
something in here probably.
Be scared to death. Talk to you next week.
Actually gonna do an investigation here at the studio
I'm so excited for you.
because a lot of stuff has been happening.
Well, I feel like if you start looking for it, it shows up.
Yeah, but like to be fair, I'm not looking for it here, and I'm not even the one that it's been happening to.
Okay.
It happened to George. Happened to Travis this morning. Comes in and goes, Austin, you may have noticed that when you came in this morning, the alarm wasn't set because something kept setting it off.
Yeah, but the motion detectors kept detecting a person, and then I had to turn it off.
Wow. That used to happen to me. I worked in new home sales, and we have to set the model homes,
Yeah.
set the alarm for each home. And there'd be times that we'd go in and the music was blasting, but it was controlled from one of the other houses, or like pillows would be everywhere, or chairs would be, and it would be perfectly set the night before, and no one else had keys.
He, for a living, cleans up homicides, suicides,
Oh,
terrorist
shit.
attacks, stuff like that. So he went and cleaned up a house of a serial killer in California. This serial killer had a bunch of dolls, like headless dolls, and that he tattooed designs on.
Oh,
So the FBI was investigating it because it was a serial killer, so it's a big thing. So he's cleaning up the house, and he asked the FBI agent, he's like, can I have some of these? And they were like, no, but we're going to empty them out into the backyard for them to come pick up later. If two of them just happen to be gone, we won't know.
Interesting.
So he took two of them. So he brought them here to the studio. I refused to touch them.
That's fucked.
When they were here, shit started falling apart. We had problems with the rig, corrupting episodes. We had audio just not syncing. We had really bad problems. And I think I was the first one to be like, I think it's the dolls. And everybody was like, it's not the fucking dolls. He takes the dolls, no more problems.
Hey, are you serious? You just said it all nonchalant. I'm like,
Oh!
no!
Ah!
No!
Oh,
It
my
followed
God.
you
We're
back
talking
from
about
Washington.
haunted stuff, and the light in here just shut
Oh
off.
my God.
Kelsey.
What did you bring home?
Did you bring a ghost to the studio?
Brought it back. If there are any spirits here, please turn the lights back on.
Spirits, if you're here with us, please turn the light back on.
We need the lights to come back on.
Spirits among us.
There's one right now.
Yeah, and I talked to a lot of people, whether it's Bigfoot or it's Dogman, even though it's Sasquatch Chronicles. I've talked to several people that have had demonic type encounters. I've talked to several people who've had alien encounters. I mean, stuff that would just blow your mind away. And I don't really know how to handle that. I would say out of all of the categories, Sasquatch, Dogman, demonic, or alien, I would say demonic is hands down probably some of the worst stuff I've ever heard. What's your take on that, DW?
Dude, the demonic encounters that I've heard are the most frightening, scary things that I've ever heard in my life. Everything that has ever manifested and physically bothered me once I've had a conversation with a person has been directly associated with holding a conversation with someone who's had a demonic encounter. So much, Wes, that I refuse to hold the conversation anymore with anyone who's had a demonic encounter or demonic attachments. I don't do it. It's a stern rule. It's like the Great Wall of China for me. Don't call me with that. Don't talk to me about that. I don't want anything to do with it. That's how bad it's been when I've dealt with that with people. I mean, it's been terrible. I quickly learned to refer people to some demonologists to get help. Quickly learned, because those people who have these attachments and these encounters, you never are able to tell, Wes, who it is that's reaching out to you. If it's that actual entity itself reaching out to you because it wants that your story, or to use you to manifest, use you as leverage to get it attention and give it more power, or if it's that person who's actually reaching out to you because they have the issue and there's no way of telling. Absolutely no way of telling. So I learned that very, very quickly in the beginning.
So you're saying you've actually had demonic experiences based on a conversation with someone? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, Wes. Absolutely. I am sitting here right now. I have acid reflux, horrible acid reflux, based on what happened to me after I had a conversation with a young lady who the conversation started off about her family being cursed and these things just going. And this is way early in the game, Wes, where, you know, I did not have the knowledge that I have now. She was telling me about how her family's cursed and how, you know, things go wrong. They'll buy a brand new car and that car gets wrecked. Her father would get a job and 3 weeks later he'll lose his job. You know, other family members were getting heart attacks, dying, like crazy stuff. And we're kind of going through the conversation, and then it comes to me. That's not even the best way to describe it. I'll go deep into it. We're going through the conversation. We take a break, Wes, because she gets emotional. I said, hey, let's take a break. I'm going to get some chicken fingers and some fries. I'm going to call you back after I eat, right? I get my food. I start to eat. I call her. And I'll never forget, because I'm in Dallas, West, and I'm sitting in this cigar shop at this circular table. There's this huge ashtray in the middle of the table. My cigar is there. My food is there. I have a Sprite. To the left of me is the bathroom. Behind me is kind of this bar. In front of me are all these people. And they're talking, and I'm talking to this lady. And as we're talking, I didn't know what it was then. I really didn't. But I have a better understanding now. As we're talking, my spirit and soul starts to scream, like, get off the phone with this woman now. Like, because I just get uncomfortable. Everything is telling me, you got to go, you got to go, you got to go. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to wrap this conversation up. And she says, well, I got to tell you what happened to me, you know, the climax of this. In between that, she had told me about leaving out of her bedroom, and she could walk down the hallway and she would see her father sitting on a sofa watching TV, and this huge, gigantic black mass manifesting and blocking the light from the room that her father was in and coming towards her, and that her father saw it and ran through it to get her, close the bedroom. I mean, this is the kind of encounter this woman's talking about. And she finally tells me that she's laying in the bed, she's 16 years old, and that this thing manifests. Well, before that, she's telling me she's laying in the bed, she's 16 years old. She sees behind this curtain in her bedroom what looks like the face of this woman. And it's like, she said it was like an old woman, like a hag woman that was dressed in all black. And she was really, really pale. And she was like, she ignored it and she tried to go to sleep. Well, minutes later, she's laying on her right-hand side in the bed, and she feels something in the bed with her. And then she feels this hand going between her legs, and she gets molested by this long, sharp finger. I mean, she described it to the T. Woman is in tears. And while she's telling me this, my everything inside of me is saying, hey, this is demonic. You got to get off the phone, get off the phone, get off the phone, get off the phone. Then something says, hey, stop eating your food. Wes, just like you and I are talking right now, a voice in my head says, hey, stop eating your food, get up, throw it away, get off the phone with this woman. It's almost like, I don't know if it was an ancestor or angel. Like I'm getting chills telling you the story right now. It says, stop eating your food, throw it away. And I've had this experience before when I was in situations where people were about to get murdered or very, very bad things were about to happen. And I've always listened to this voice. So I literally stand straight up, throw the food away. I say, I'm going to call you back. Throw the food away. I sit back down. I start to drink water. The food that's in my throat goes down my throat. I take that back. It wasn't water. It was Sprite. I start to drink the Sprite. The food that's in my throat goes down my throat, and my throat closes. Like someone is holding my esophagus closed, Wes. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling good. I'm like, okay, maybe it's the cigar I've been smoking. But I've been smoking cigars since 2000, Wes. This is 2015. I've been smoking cigars for 15 years, right? So any kind of reaction I'm going to get from smoking a cigar, I've had it already. So get off the phone with her, feeling horrible. A few minutes pass, it gets shaken off. I go home, or I go to my girlfriend's apartment. We hang out, blah, 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 blah. We go to bed that night, Wes. We're laying in the bed. I'm laying on my right-hand side. She's laying with her back to me, and I'm falling asleep. In between that sleep state and that awake state, like I guess you can call it the in-between is what I've been calling it, I start to feel a finger going into my mouth. No doubt about it. No questions, no nothing. I bite down, Wes, and I taste this sulfuric, dirty, like dirt and metal, but it smells like sulfur. In fact, you know what it smells like? The best description? You know how your car battery and your alternator messes up and you can get that smell to your car?
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's a metallic kind of smell. You know that smell?
I know
That's
it well.
the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's in my nose, it's in my mouth, and I taste it. I reach over, because I'm laying on my right-hand side, I reach with my left hand, and I'm grabbing towards my mouth, and I feel a freaking arm, and I pull, and then I'll open my eyes, and I'm like, oh, my God, what was that? What was that? What was that? What was that? And I'm like sitting there. I'm thinking, because you got to remember, I bit down. I'm thinking, okay, I just bit my girlfriend's finger, so I roll over, babe, are you all right? And she's like, why are you waking me up, dude? Go back to sleep. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. Go to bed. And now I'm freaking out because her back is turned. She's asleep. What did I just bite? I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm like, all right, you tripping. You having a bad dream. Go back to sleep. Wes, I try to go back to sleep. I start to fall asleep again. I feel it in my nose. A finger. I swear to God, I swear my mother's grave. My mother died of cancer. I feel a finger go into my nose and I can feel the tip of whatever this is go down my nasal passage. I feel it hit my esophagus, like in my throat. I jump up, I stand up, I walk straight out of that bedroom to the balcony, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what is going on? What is happening to me? And the only thing I could do, this is before I started talking to demonologists, this actual encounter is the reason why I ended up being friends with demonologists. The only thing I could think to do, Wes, was, you know, I freaking turned on YouTube and I typed in, you know, pastor preaching. I think that's it, exactly what it was. And so I sat on this balcony. It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. I get a cigar and I sit there until the sun comes up listening to people preach. And this feeling of dread is like over me. Like I'm feeling it now, and I probably shouldn't be talking about it because you only empower these things, but I know how to deal with it now. This feeling of dread is over me while I'm sitting there. And you got to realize I'm sitting outside on the balcony. There are trees above me. I'm smoking a cigar, and this feeling of utter dread, like something is there sitting across from me is there. And as these preachers preach more and more and more, it kind of subsides. It's like water that's subsiding, like, you know how the water drains out of the tub? It's like the feeling is like that, like it's draining away. It drains, and then it gets to the base of it, and it's still this little underlying feeling there. The sun comes up. I go inside, I go to sleep. My girlfriend wakes me up. She says we need to eat breakfast. I don't tell her what happened because I don't want to scare her. And, you know, when it comes to the paranormal, she ignores it, Wes. Like, she's told me, yeah, I've seen ghosts before, and I just ignore them. I don't worry about them, right? So I'm freaked out because I know I experienced something. I call my PR person. She hooks me up with some demonologists, and I start talking to the demonologist. The guy starts laughing. He says, you know what you did? And I'm like, no, what did I do? Excuse me. He says, you butted into this entity's business and you got hit. And I was like, well, what do you mean I got hit? He said, you took a hit. He said, you'll probably take about 2 or 3 more hits and then it'll leave you alone to send a message to you that you shouldn't have done what you did. And I said, is that possible? He said, oh, buddy, it's possible. And he's like, you know, he said, something's going to happen. Like, something's going to break. You get a flat tire. He's like, I want you to be careful for the next 2 weeks, and I want you to do these prayers every day. Right? I leave, go back to New Orleans. I get on a plane, go back to New Orleans like the next day. That same day I arrive in New Orleans, that same night, my girlfriend calls me and says, hey, babe, I was laying in the bed, and something was touching my face, and I thought it was you in the bed with me, but I forgot you were gone. And that pisses me off. So, because I'm like, okay, now you messing with somebody I love. This is what I do. So I call the demonologist back, Wes, and I say, hey, man, you know, how do I go on offense against this? And he was like, you want to go on offense? I said, yeah, how do I go on offense? So he's like, well, this is what you do. And so I started doing it because it really upset me that it would manifest and bother her. So I've been on offense since then against demonic entities. And I built this hedge of prayer, and I have these rules that are in place where I don't deal with it. And I mean, I don't read the encounters that are demonic. I don't talk to anybody. If you call me and you have a demonic encounter and you try and trick me, I am belligerent about it. So yes, sir. I have encountered some things that have shown me that you have to be careful. And in the same token, it has strengthened my religious faith to a whole nother level because, you know, one of the things that most people go through is like, is God real? Does God care about me? Does this, you know, so it's a blessing in one sense that there's no doubt that prayer works for me. And it has worked. And I know for a fact that it's worked, and I continue to do it. So yeah, bro, I know it's long winded, but yeah, that, you know, that's just so personal to me, Wes, that, I mean, I could talk to you about that for days. I've had multiple things that have happened to me based on conversations with people. And that's the difference in what I do when I create the horror stories versus somebody who kind of makes up a story. There's no consequence for making up a story. They can sit there and they can type it out and they can write it and then they can do whatever they want to do. There is no price to pay for it. But when you actually go to talk to someone to gather their story, you have to open yourself up to that person. You know, you have to become one with that person in a sense. Therefore, you open yourself up to whatever that thing is at the same time. So,
in my culture, when we are telling a story about someone who has passed on, it is very important that we don't hold their names. And if we slip, that is fine. But when you hold their names too many times, you are calling upon that person to come into your home, or you're inviting something that you probably don't want. And this is why we try our best not to say names of people who's deceased if we're going to be telling a story about them. But that is it for today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys all on the next episode of Late Night Strange. And like always, stay strange, everybody. Bye bye.